Christina in Worcester, Massachusetts, listening on Emmanuel Radio. Thank you for calling. Thank you for calling. Oh, sorry, I almost did that.
It'll.
That's okay.
Hey,
Jimmy, I have a really good question for you.
Okay.
I purchased your DVD on Understanding Revelation.
Oh, awesome.
And I have to commend you on that. It's an excellent DVD, but I have a question.
Okay.
Regarding the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that's going to happen in the future, or are there signs that we need to look for those four horsemen of the apocalypse?
Okay.
I know it's war, pestilence, death, and I think there was one more I remember on that.
Yeah.
Are there signs that we have to look for, or is it something that's already happened, or how do I just need that answered?
I'll give you my perspective. So the four horsemen of the apocalypse, the first one is I'll do this real briefly, but for people who may not be familiar, in the book of Revelation, or the Apocalypse, as it's also called, John the seer sees a sequence of four horsemen and their riders. And the first horse is white, and seated on it is a conqueror who comes out with a bow, and he's given the ability to conquer. And second is a red horse that has a sword and is given the ability to take peace from the earth. The third horse is black and has a pair of scales, and John hears an audible message that indicates that wheat and barley and grains like that have become fantastically expensive by the standards of the ancient world. And then the last horse, it actually says green in Greek. The word is chloros, which is the same place we get chlorophyll. But the green horse is explicitly identified as death. And so when you look at this sequence of symbols, there's a debate about who the first horse is. Some people, because later we see Christ in Revelation riding a white horse, although he has a sword on that occasion, not a bow. A lot of people have said, okay, the first horse is Christ. The second horse, since it's red and takes peace from the earth, is obviously war. The third horse is black and has the scales with the fantastically expensive food, so that's famine. And then the last horse is death. And so that's who they are. Now, there's another interpretation of the first horse, which is the white one where you got the conqueror with the bow. That doesn't have to be Christ. There are a lot of people in history who've ridden white horses. Gandalf, the Lone Ranger.
Is Gandalf in history? Is Gandalf part of history?
In literary history.
Okay.
And so there are a lot of people also who have been kind of false images of Christ. Like Augustus Caesar liked to be known as the Son of God.
Right.
Okay, and Domitian, another Roman emperor, had people refer to him as my Lord and my God. So there's a kind of satanic echo of Christ in the Roman system. And so this could be a nasty Roman, pagan, false Christ conqueror, like Nero Caesar, who also shows up in Revelation as the beast of Revelation. So which one, you can have your own opinion, Si, but to me, the sequence pagan emperor leads to war, leads to famine, leads to death, makes more sense than Jesus Christ leads to war, leads to famine, leads to death.
Right.
So I would say that given the fact that the rest of the book of Revelation says it's about things that are going to happen soon, from John's perspective, we need to look to most of the events in Revelation as having their primary fulfillment either in the first century or in the first few centuries. So I would say that what the four horsemen of the apocalypse symbolize in their primary sense is the conflict that the ambition and warlike nature of the Roman emperors led to in the first century, not only leading up to the destruction of Jerusalem in the AD 60s, but also in the year of four emperors, where you had a massive series of rapid civil wars in Rome at the exact same time as Jerusalem was under siege. this was in 68 at a slightly earlier stage in the war, 68, 69, so that you had Nero and Galba and Otho and Vitellius just rapidly taking office and seizing it from each other. And it was a very violent period, and I think that's what's being talked about. So I think the primary period we're talking about here with the Four Horsemen is first century, not in our future. Having said that, I think this also articulates a familiar historical pattern where the ambition of rulers leads them to war, which leads to famine, which leads to death. And so this is something we have to perennially be on the lookout for, because even though the primary fulfillment may have been in the first century, there can be other fulfillments in other ages as well, including in our future.
Does that work for
Thank
you?
you so much, Jimmy. And that was great. And like I said, the DVD was super.
Thank you.
I enjoyed the whole. Like you said too, there's a lot of symbolism. In the Revelation book also. It's just unbelievable. But I commend you on that DVD. It was excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christina. Boy, I that did make a lot of sense. The Gandalf part, no.
Well,
but the kind of false we do as a species kind of keep following false messiahs. That's part of a symptom of being human, isn't it?
Yeah. Also, and this is something I actually mentioned on the DVD, white horses are often used by rulers, by political rulers.
Right.
Not just because they look cool, but apparently, at least this is what they said in my horsemanship class, white horses have better eyesight than other horses. And so if you're a horse, your whole survival strategy is based on running away from things.
Yeah.
There's some danger, you're going to run away from it. And so you would therefore want your pack or herd to have someone with good eyesight that would serve as the warning. And so white horses get more street cred from other horses because they're better scouts.
Because they're the good leader then. They kind of symbolize that.
Yep.
Yeah. I think I may be part horse. Running away from trouble is my strategy, Jimmy. That's my primary life strategy. If I see my eyesight is failing, though. I don't know if that strategy is going to keep working.
Yeah.